We we are live in the first of our new series of Rent to Rent Real Talk, where we're going live with Rent to Rent Rockstars. And for the first one, we have got, for your enjoyment this evening, Mark Fitzgerald, Rent to Rent Rockstar extraordinaire. And I am joined, of course, as usual, by the lovely Miss Nicky T.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing, guys?
All right, I'm good, thank you.
Indeed.
Excellent.
Excited to be here with Mark.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. Thank you for welcoming me on.
It's our pleasure. And I just want to say hello to you watching in the Rent to Rent Success Secrets Facebook group this evening. And also to let you know that this video will be made public. So just to be aware of that also. We have got a series of questions here for Mark that he doesn't know about yet.
Brilliant.
But it's really going to be more of a chat. And what I want you to get out of this is really from Mark's gone from 0 properties, and in less than a year, I think I'm right in saying it's 12 properties now, Mark.
Yeah. It's 9 currently. There's a few pending at the moment of deals that we've got going on, but we'll soon be there. And we've got a refurb on one as well.
Great. So 0 to 9 with 3 pending. I mean, it's a fantastic position to be in under a year. And obviously, Mark, we're going to talk to Mark about what's happening now during these Corona times. So over to you, Mark. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. You know, keeping the family safe, looking after ourselves, trying to do what everybody should be doing, and is keeping everybody safe and just trying to keep our head above water as well, because you know, we can plan for most things, but I bet a lot of us, when we started 2020, we didn't plan for a pandemic. I know I certainly didn't. So it was a bit like, crikey, this one's not in the handbook. I'm actually going to have to make this one up as I go along. But the support that you guys have given everybody in the group and in this group as well, and you know, the weekly chats and things, and I might not get on them all, but I do watch them. It's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, you know, by pulling together, which is what we've pretty much all done, it's we'll get through this, and we will get through this, and we can come out the other side stronger for it.
Absolutely. If you are watching, you'll see that we are going live using StreamYard, and there's a link in the video description where you can click that so that we'll be able to see your name when you comment. So hi to you all starting. We're just going to kick off. There is a little bit of interference on use two's lines, so if you can hear fuzziness where you are, just use your earphones. So just to start off with, Mark, tell us a little bit about you.
Me, well, basically, just the average Joe, to be quite honest with you. I'm nothing special. I've just decided to change my life and decided to start a business up using property and going about it the right way. I had a successful corporate job before, and I had my head down, and I was headlong, you know, trying to do the best job I could do in that for my family and for my kids and everything. And it wasn't really, you know, the old story goes, it was only a couple of, well, it's the 2018 when I really started thinking to myself, there's got to be a bit more to life than this. So I started looking into different things. Property was something I was interested in. I think as a nation, I think we're all interested in property because we all know that it's a good sound investment. So, you know, to try and make a business and have it revolve around property is a bit of a no-brainer for a lot of us. But again, you don't know where to start, do you? So, you know, I just sort of educated myself with books and the internet and things, and obviously got to see different videos of people and things like that, and get to know a few of those people. And yeah, and the rest was history, really. I mean, I was very much a naysayer when it came to rent originally. I just thought it wouldn't work. I thought, who in their right mind would want to give you their property? But that was my naivety, and how wrong was I? At the end of the day, if you go about it and put your business together and do a good job, then it's a bit of a no-brainer, really. I mean, I would myself, if I had a big portfolio, somebody I could trust to look after and manage my properties for me, why not take all the headache away and let somebody else deal with it for you?
Exactly. So that was a bit about you, and you've kind of covered off really what made you want to get started. But actually, let's go into it a little bit more, because there was a little bit more to it, wasn't there, about why you.
Well, I was looking at, as I say, I had to have an operation in 2018, and that was really the moment that, for the first time in my life, I stopped. I had about 2.5, 3 months off work while I recovered, and it was it was the light bulb moment, which was, crikey, if I couldn't work again now, what would I actually do? What would I have coming in? When I can't work, when I get older, what will I have? And it woke me up a bit, actually, and made me think to myself, hang on a minute, I have got a bit about me. I don't need to just, stay on the treadmill. I can go and do something for myself, and I can make it as big as I want. I can just have it as a lifestyle if I want to. So the world is your oyster. I mean, when the pandemic hit and everything was, hitting the fan, so to speak, it was a real case of, crikey, have I made a big boo-boo, taking all of this on? Because property is always the safest bet and everything, but if people can't pay rents and people are struggling to even survive, nothing's bulletproof in this environment. But we're still here, we're still working our way through. It's all about people, so you work with the people that are around you. But no, I mean, I've just always wanted to do something for myself, back to the question. And it was a case of self-education, seeing people that were actually doing it, going out and networking with people, chatting to them. What do you do? I do rent to rent. Rent to rent, what's that? Well, I'm a property manager, but I offer a guaranteed rent, and I basically manage the properties as if they're my own. And I just thought that's absolutely brilliant, because not only can I do a really good job for somebody, I know that for a fact, but it also helps me, because I want to build a portfolio. It helps me learn and know what to do when I eventually get houses for myself. And then, of course, I was watching videos. I saw a post that you were looking to start something up. I've watched your videos. I like the way you girls run your business, the way you are. You're very genuine. You just want to help people, which is an absolute fact. And like I say, I think it was 2018, just after Christmas. I texted you actually on Christmas Day, didn't I? You replied on Boxing Day, and it was just like, crikey. I didn't expect to have a reply at all, actually. I just, as you sat there, I just saw these posts, and I thought, I'll ask about this rent to rent course. And we got to chatting, and it was great to do your first, be a guinea pig, so to speak. A whole group of us, Lois and the other guys as well, and a lot of those have got deals and are doing well, which is great to see as well, because the system works.
Yeah. No,
sorry, Steph. I was going to say, at the beginning, was there anything that almost stopped you going forward with rent to rent and property?
The main thing that really I was looking at that was probably putting me off was the price it was costing to do training, because I don't want to pay for education. I never did. That's all changed now, because I know how valuable it is to be educated. Because once you've paid that one-off fee, nobody can take away your learnings. Nobody can take away the experience and what you have inside now. You've got for life, and you can hand that down to generations. And it's very important for me to be able to offer my kids something. When they're leaving school, and they can go down their own paths. But if they want to come and work for me, there's a skill now that I have that I can share with them, and they can do the same and everything. So. It was really, for me, it was getting out my own way. I thought I could learn everything through books and the internet, which to a point you can gain knowledge, but you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't actually go and educate yourself fully, you can fall foul of a lot of things. And it's that support. And I think it was putting me off that a lot of the training courses were a couple of days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day, and you were then thrown out into the big bad world to get on with it. And it was a bit like, well, I don't need that. I can read a book, which will give me a good idea. What I need is I need somebody to hold my hand when I actually get a deal, because that's when it's, you're going to be like, that's what you need to support and help to make sure you do the best job you can do. And that was what actually fundamentally made me come to you girls, because it was the hand holding bit that when I needed you, we were a team, and we always have been, and we do remain to be like that for the other guys and girls as well.
Oh, lovely. Thanks, Mark.
And
you weren't expecting short answers to things, were you?
It's really good just to hear your view, though, you know, just openly from a place in here kind of thing. And just, it's just great to hear, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
And we've got a question here from Malik, which we would have been coming on to later, but I just thought we could talk about this. Malik is saying that he's been listening how you went from 0 to 9 in 12 months. And can he ask, were they all direct or landlords, or was it a mixture, Mark? So do you want to tackle that?
Yeah. It's a mixture. So initially it was landlord letters were the main thing. I didn't really want to go and speak to agents, if I'm quite honest with you. But I did in the end. And so my first 2 were landlord letters. My third was through an agent, because once I'd finally got a couple of deals and I'd been out talking to people, and I realized that I actually probably knew more than a lot of the people I was talking to. So I didn't really fall foul in any conversations. You know, it just gets your confidence up. And you're speaking to people on the phone and things, that I actually did then start to chat to different letting agents and start to build up a bit of a rapport with those sort of guys. And I was lucky enough that we came across one that the letting agent wasn't actually interested in managing. So he referred me, which was very nice of them. So I've had that, and a lot of them now come through landlord referrals. So the guys that I actually do the job for now on the rent to rent, they recommend me to their friends, and their friends come and speak to me. I can't take everything on. I do try and look at everything. But if it fits our criteria, it fits our model, then we look to take it on. But yeah, majority is landlord letters. They do work. You've just got to be consistent with them. You can't just send one batch and expect to get loads of calls. You've got to be consistent. I had 6-week plans where I'd recycle everything and then go for another 6 weeks. And I did that for about 5 months, to be quite honest with you, to get the majority of the deals in. I got a lot of phone calls. I saw a lot of properties, and not all of them fit the model that we were looking for. I think you've got to have everybody will have their own individual ideas on what they're looking at. But landlord letters are absolutely amazing, but you have to be consistent with them. It's money well spent.
Yeah, and I've just put a little note on the screen now. If you want to start sending your landlord letters and you want to get some templates just to set you off on the right way to do it, I'll put the link up there so you can download them, get yourself started off the right way. So, Nicky, I don't know, do you want to ask the next question then?
Yeah, so it's really good to hear about the blockage and the education bit. And so once you got over that, you joined us and you're actually in action and you got started. What was the hardest thing then? If you can think back to the beginning of your journey.
I'm quite a self-motivated guy. So if I commit to do something, I want to succeed in what I'm doing. So, I mean, really, the way it's all laid out, the course and everything, you work through your modules, which is great because you're not initially there with everything in front of you. A lot of them, you can open up all the doors, whereas you sort of drip feed it in week after week. Now, initially, that annoyed me because I was thinking to myself, come on, I don't want to go through me why and all that. But you do, it slows you up. You know me, I just like to get stuck in. But initially, it makes you sort of sit back and work your way through and really deep delve and think about, the path that you need to do it, and that was great. But yeah, the course itself was just fundamentally great, just working your way through and stuff. But I didn't really have any blockages. I suppose it's just like anybody, you send your letters out and you're all excited and you ring your agents up and everything and you just want to be liked. I think the fear is of failure, of not getting a deal. Yeah. And of nervousness as well. When the phone actually rings, are you going to say the right thing? There's so much that goes on in your head. Well, there's so much that goes on in this head that I'm probably not as well. But, you got little voices and everything, and you just think to yourself, what, are they going to take me seriously? I haven't got any properties, you know what I mean? I have the experience through the training and everything. And I've sort of had the experience that you guys had. I was working really with your experience because I knew for a fact if I had a problem, I could speak to you girls about it or post it on the Facebook group or something and get an answer because you've been there and done it. You've been doing it a lot longer than me. So there probably isn't that much that anybody's going to come across that you haven't already done.
Good here, Mark.
Say again.
I said you're making us sound too good here, Mark.
No, it just is. I've always said it. You know, the reason I've done as well as I've done is because of your support and your help and your continued support as well. And it does make a massive difference, because I don't think I'm on a journey on my own. I think I've got a team around me, and I have.
Okay. Can I ask you something else? Grace has asked, how has your life changed?
Well, I don't work now. I don't work for anybody else. I work for myself. But I took voluntary redundancy when I actually started the course. That wasn't planned. That just fell in my lap, and I decided to go for it. Now, I wouldn't recommend that, because there's a lot of sleepless nights that come. I've never regretted doing it, but it's probably there could be easier ways to do that sort of thing. But it's just given me more time, more freedom and time. You know, the biggest thing for me the last 12 months has been the fact that I've been able to go to my son's sports days. I've been able to go to their plays. I've been able to go to their parents' evenings. You know, if they're not very well, we're not struggling for somebody to go and pick them up from school, because, you know, I can pretty much drop what I'm doing within reason and go. And so it's just being there for my kids, which, you know, my oldest kid now is 14, and I missed all of that. And I try and do as much as I can to make up for it now, but I had my head down doing my job, and I never did all of that. You know, the grandparents and the wife and everything, they went and did all of that. So it's changed my life and just given me more freedom to really enjoy the finer things in life. Don't get me wrong, there's stressful days. There's, you know, you can pull I haven't got a lot of hair, but you can pull your hair out on certain things, but you'll always get through it, and you're working for yourself. So, I mean, the life-changing thing for me is just having more time to be able to dedicate to other things as well as building the business up.
And it's funny, isn't it, Mark? Because it's all those precious nuggets and experiences that you've now got with your family that previously you'd have missed and not actually realised how important they are. Because you know that you've got to go to work, you know you've got to earn, and you kind of put the emphasis there rather than these other bits. So it's great that now you've got the time to enjoy all of that as well.
That's it. It's time you can't get back.
Exactly. Priceless.
Okay, and someone on Facebook has said, what is your business model, Mark?
Well, obviously, the business model is rent to rent. Fundamentally, we are a rent to rent company, but we're trying to build up a brand. So we've got our name is Podlets, which stands for point of difference. So we do want to be different from, you know, your average management agent, even your average rent to renter. We want to be a bit above and beyond all of that in the way that we offer our services to people. We make sure that if there's a picture that's on spare room or anything, the rooms actually do look like the pictures. You know, people aren't walking in to seeing a glorious picture of 12 months ago and to find a room that isn't up to standard. We also we branch into two different areas. So we work fundamentally in South Yorkshire area, and we work in the Northeast as well. And we also want to give opportunities to our tenants that are good. If any of them are moving into the areas where we are, or know of anybody moving into the area, you know, we offer discounts. We offer a few different things that, you know, it's incentives to help people, and we're just trying to build up a bit of a brand, if you like. So that's the business model, is basically a rent to rent model, but as a bit more of a brand than just having a couple of properties.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thanks, Mark. I've got some other questions for you. I just want to say, if you're new to rent, you've never heard of this before, and you're really interested to find out more, then if you go to rentsuccess.com, you'll see that you can watch the free masterclass right there. And that walks you through everything that you're hearing about today and the full model. So we've had another comment that these goals match my own, and it's a great team to be involved with. And yes. I think now is a great time to move into about your first deal. You said, okay, if I'm right, the first one you got through the landlord letters?
Yes.
Yeah. So just let's talk about the nuts and bolts. The things that scare people are how to get a deal, and then once they've got a deal, is the deal going to work? And then how much is it going to cost? But let's just start off with the first bit: how to get a deal, and how did you know if the deal was going to work?
Well, basically, you're sending your letters out, you're getting phone calls, you're not always getting viewings. Not everybody does want to see you. Some people do ring you up just to pick your brains. But yeah, I mean, the first deal that actually came through, the landlord was keen to just see what I had to offer. He wanted to meet, to walk around the properties. He had two, but he was saying we'll initially do one and see how it goes. So yeah, it was, I mean, for me as well, it's a case of the landlord's probably as important as the property. You know, the property's got to be good. It's got to be, you know, something you can certainly rent out and work with, but you've got to be able to get them with the landlord as well. Because if you're thinking of getting into a contract with somebody over 3, 5, 6, 7 years, you need to be able to get on with them. You need to be able to communicate, just in case there's silly little issues. You know, if they're very difficult people to communicate with, then obviously it could just be a nightmare. So from my perspective, it was a case of building up rapport with the landlord or landlady, and making sure that that we could work together as well. And we had a couple of meetings. So we had the initial meeting where we met each other. We went for a coffee. Then we had another meeting and sat down and sort of spoke about numbers and things. Now that was probably the scariest thing on your first deal, because you're worried you're just going to do a deal that doesn't work, or that you've missed something, and all of a sudden you're going to be, you know, out of pocket every month, and you know your business model's out the window, because you know at the end of the day the landlord's got to be making money, he's got to be happy, or she's got to be happy, but so have you as a business. Otherwise, what's the point? So it was really, it was filling in. I mean, you've got the deal analyzer, which we use, and being able to put out in the Facebook group, and being able to have other people have a look at it and pick little holes in it. And it's not criticism that you take personally. It's constructive criticism, just to say, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? But even just to show it to people who've been there and done that can turn around and say, do you know what? If you don't want that deal, I want it. That's a great deal. It just gives you that peace of mind in the back of your head that, hold on a minute, right, I've stacked this as best I can stack this, which is right. So I know what I'm doing. I've got the confidence now to know that this will make money, because, you know, other people have looked at this and confirmed it. And then it's just a case of getting the negotiations out of the way. And I mean, the one nugget I got from that was, of course, on contracts. It's not always as easy as it can be. So we had a bit of a to and fro in thing with the contracts, which is right. There's no problem with that whatsoever. And we got there in the end. It just, it was probably, out of all the aspects of getting a deal and doing it, was one of the things that I just thought, well, a contract will be all right. We'll just sort that out and sign it. And that was probably the hardest thing. So, and it has been, it's been sound ever since. I've not had any issues with contracts since then, but it was a good learning. So everything that is difficult, you get around and you sort it out, but you get there in the end, and you put a line under it and say, all right, well, next time I'll be ready for that, because if that's going to be an issue, it's an issue we can sort out nice and easy and quickly.
Great. Well, Malik's asked another great question about refurbing the properties. So this is something that people do worry about quite a lot. So for your first property, how much was it costing for the refurb, and how did you decide who was going to pay it, or how did you finance it?
Right, so I was very lucky with my first deal, because it had been newly refurbished about 3 months before I took it on. So I didn't actually have to do anything. It was a real case of walking into it and just going, wow, if he wants to hand this to me, perfect, I should do an excellent job for him. I did put a few bits and bobs in there. But I mean, fundamentally, I had a modest pot of money, which was my redundancy pot. So I was living on that. So I knew I couldn't burn straight through that if I had to do refurbs and things. But fundamentally, I mean, it depends how much work needs doing. Now, I looked at a lot of properties before I got my first deal, and they needed, some of them needed about 10 grand spending on them, new kitchens, bathrooms, just to bring it up to a decent level. They'd been so run down, it was unbelievable. And I myself, I'm not particularly willing to put that sort of money into it. So what I do normally say to landlords is just, this needs a level of investment, and it's your asset at the end of the day. So if you're willing to put that level of investment in, obviously I will maintain that level, and when you get your property back at the end of the term, if you choose to, you'll get it back exactly the same condition that I receive it in. But it needs this level of investment for us to be able to do a deal. But if you do put this bit of money in, you're guaranteed this rent. And I mean, if I'd have had to, I would have probably got a loan. I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you're financially all right, but maybe gone 50-50 with the landlord or something like that, just to try and get through. It depends really how much it is. If you're looking to, I wouldn't spend over 6 months worth of profit on a property. I mean, personally myself, I wouldn't spend over 3 months, but I have been quite nitpicky with what I've got as well. I tend to only go for properties that need minimal work. So you don't have to necessarily feel that you've got to take a property on that needs loads of work. There's always another property around, like buses. They are. It's not. I know when you're trying to start out and everything, it's very, I need to get a deal. And I was the same, but I looked at a lot of properties before I got this one. And this one was just like, I'm going to do a deal on this because, you know, this is a little beauty. So there are different ways of getting around it. But what I would say is get in there. I mean, if fundamentally I saw a house that the structure and the size of it was perfect, but it just needed work and the landlord wasn't able, but the numbers stacked up and I could fundamentally put the refurb cost into the rent, or I could even just say to them, I'll pay you a lesser rent for the first 6 to 9 months while we pay the refurb off. I'll pay it out for the refurb, but obviously, you know, it's your property as well. But after that refurb's paid off, then I'll pay you X amount. You can negotiate everything. So it's really just a matter of asking. So I would say the first and fundamental thing is to just say, this is what needs doing to this property for us to take it on, which we're more than happy to do. Are you willing to put this money into it?
And Mark, you mentioned that you've one of the ones that you're looking to take on shortly needs a refurb. Who's doing the refurb on that one? Is the landlord doing the refurb before you take it on?
No. It's all, well, it's at a level that is okay at the moment for the tenants and everything that's in there. It is an adequate property. It's just not particularly at the standard that we try and the level we go at, which is a bit above and beyond as we do things. But no, because that one there, we're looking to actually purchase it at a future date as well. We don't mind putting a level of investment into that, but we can do it over years. So it's not like we've got to go straight in there now. I mean, it's fully tenanted as far as I'm aware at the moment. Well, it was before all this lockdown. So we wouldn't, if it's not broke, we don't need to fix it. But it will need, a new kitchen and some new en suites and things like that as it's going along. So if we're looking to buy it, we'll put the investment in. If we weren't, then we would say to the landlord, it's going to need a level of investment. But even if it was over time, it might just be that we'll pay you a bit of a lesser rent, but we'll put that money that we don't pay you as a little pot into refurbing your property and maintaining it to the highest standard.
Understood. Perfect.
Nicky, can I just ask, because it's your first time or second, but can you see the comments?
That you just put on the screen?
No. Can you see the comments by the right-hand side?
No, it's blank.
Oh, you haven't got comments on yours? Because when I was a guest, I had comments.
Unless I need to click on this bit. Oh, yeah. It was set to the private chat. Now I can see some comments.
Yeah, so you can, if that enables you to highlight any comments, or because I think, as you said earlier, you could do the comments and and I'll just do the questions. But you see, you just click on a comment to highlight it on screen, and then you click it again to disappear it. But let's talk about this question that we've got on screen at the moment. So could you take that on off screen, Nicky?
Oh, did I click it on there?
No, but
I had to take it off.
You just press hide. But anyway, it's fine. I'll do it. So, Mark, what kind of contract did you use with your landlord? Was it a lease agreement or a management? Or have you used different ones with different ones?
I use different ones with different ones. So if it's got a mortgage and it's a residential, I use a management agreement. If it's a commercial mortgage or there's no mortgage on it, I use a lease agreement. So I do try and use a lease agreement where I can. Mainly for VAT reasons, because it will keep me under the threshold sooner rather than later, so to speak. But you can use either. It's just really looking at the terms which we're taught about and making sure that you're using the right contract for the right situation.
Yeah, although we don't have to worry about VAT anyway, because it's rent. Rent is 0 rated, is it, Nicky?
Exempt VAT.
Exempt.
Okay.
Rent is exempt.
Yeah.
VAT exempt.
Yeah.
I called it 0 rated.
There we are then. Even better.
Yeah. So what we really like about the lease agreement, though, is that it just affords more protection. So if there's ever a choice or whatever else, definitely start with the lease agreement. And so long as the owner has the authority to rent or to enter into a contract from the lender, then either agreement can work. So definitely use a lease if you possibly can.
Yeah, definitely. So we've talked about how much it costs to get the property ready, which was quite an irritating answer for people who paid a lot for their first refurb. But you didn't pay very much at all. And can I ask then how much it cash flowed each month, the first one?
The first one was a 5-bed, and it cash flows £500. Yeah, pretty much. Depends on the bills. If the bills go up and down, then obviously it can be a bit below 500 or a bit over 500 in, so to speak, summer times and things. But yeah, we try and fundamentally, I try and get £100 per room in whatever sort of deals I'm looking at. If it's got more rooms, 9, 10, 11 bed, then obviously sometimes you can inflate it and get a bit more out of the rooms. But a 5-bed, yeah, £100 a room is the going rate, really, what you want to be looking at.
Great. Nicky, do you want to ask a question? You just click on it and it'll appear on screen.
Oh, goodness.
So what about Grace's? Grace is right at the
technical.
I know.
Just click on it.
But I'm clicking and nothing's happening.
Ah, okay. Maybe I have to do it. Okay. So Grace is asking how long you waited for your first deal.
Well, it was a bit like, as I say, buses. It was 4 months, really. So within 4 and 5 months, I had about 3 deals. So, but in that time, it took me about 4 months. 4 months of scratching my head, waiting around. Now, for some people, it might be longer already for them. But I must admit, in those 4 months, even I had my doubts. Even I thought, well, is this going to work? You know what I mean? It is a long time, but it's just that persistency. Just keep being persistent, and it will come.
Just as well you stuck us it. Hey, Mark.
Well, it is really, isn't it? I didn't really have a choice. It was either that or get a job, and I don't really want to go and get a job, if I'm honest with you.
Perfect.
Yeah. Hey, Lena. Are you the same Lena who you sent me an email today? I've got an email from Alina, so I wonder if that's you. Hello, anyway. Yeah, I think that might have been Lena who said that. And then I think so here's another question from Malik. So do you want to answer that, Mark?
Yes. Yeah, I do the land registry. So any deal that I do, I get a copy of the land registry. It's only about £3, just to make sure that everything is kosher. That that the person that I'm dealing with or the company that I'm dealing with is the company that owns the property. Because the last thing you want to do is trying to get into an agreement with somebody who's not actually the official owner of the house, because the contract will be none and void for it all, and it could be a very sticky situation. So for the price of £3, plus when you do the contracts, I put the land registry number on there anyway, so it's good just to have it all and file it all the way together. So yeah, definitely worth doing.
And I wonder if Malik's talking also about, because he mentions the councils, I wonder if he's talking about when you get your HMO register and send out your landlord letters.
I think he is.
So at that stage, do you just use the address from the council that the council provides as the landlord address, or do you do any double checking, Mark, at that stage?
No. I just use what's provided, basically. If you've got 1,000 names, you can't confirm them all at the end of the day. You've just got to have a bit of a leap of faith and go with it. They're not all going to be wrong. You know what I mean? So it's a numbers game at the end of it all. So, just get them out there and stuff will happen.
Perfect.
Here's a good question from Grace. Have you ever said no to a deal, Mark?
Yes, I've said no to quite a few.
Yeah. Do you want to elaborate?
Mainly, to elaborate on that, it's not a case of rudeness or anything like that. If the property's not in the right area, if it's not of the right size, if the landlord's not somebody I think I can work with, then I don't blatantly go no. I do talk my way out of these situations, and I did quite a few of those before I actually got my first deal as well. Just because the properties weren't right, or the landlords just something wasn't sitting right with me, a bit of gut instinct and everything. So don't be afraid. If it's not a right deal, it's not a deal. So don't be afraid to say no, because as I say, there is always another deal. It doesn't feel like it at the time, and I must admit, when you're grabbing on it and it's the most passionate thing that you want, it's very, very difficult to, you sort of sugarcoat things even when you shouldn't at times. I found myself doing that, looking at deals and thinking, if I did this or I just tried to do that. But again, I think, you know, when you're talking to people who have been in the trade and who are doing it as well, you know, you can kid yourself so much, but you'll only sign a deal that you're not happy with, and that's the worst thing you can do, because then you'll be demotivated, demoralized and everything, and demotivated. So make sure that, you know, it's right for you, and then do the deal if it's there to be done. Don't try and force it. That's what I'm trying to say.
So what about this next question from Malik, which is, how do you know if the area is a good investment area?
So basically, I mean, you've got to know your areas. You can't just walk into any old area and say, right, I'm going to do this one. You've got to have a good understanding of the area. You need to know the sort of clientele that you want to put into your properties. Now, not everybody, you know, you might say, I want to put professionals in, but it might not be a professional area. It might be blue collar, you know, working people. It could be DSS. It could be, you know, or universal credit now, you know, people that aren't working and things. You've got to go in with a bit of an open mind, but to that as well, you also want to be looking at what you can get out of the area. So, I mean, from mine, obviously you do your checks on spare room. I was talking to letting agents and estate agents as well as being a house owner, house buyer, you know, a landlord myself, just to see what the feedback was. But I mean, at the end of the day, everybody can say it's saturated, you know, it's saturated everywhere. And that could very well be the case, because most areas are saturated, but it's about putting your product then that's above everybody else's, or it's just a needs must. You know, not everything has to be boutique either. So just do your homework on your area and see the sort of people that are renting rooms in that area. And then obviously the demand you can sort of take with a pinch of salt on spare room. And just get out there and ask people as well. I mean, even go to networking events. I mean, I know it's a bit difficult now, but ask other landlords and things that, you know, that are doing those sort of things, and just say, yeah, you're struggling to find tenants and things, and just see, oh, what sort of tenants do you have, you know, and just see what they're trying to do in certain areas themselves. It's just a bit of homework, really.
That's so right, because it's everybody always needs housing. Everybody needs a roof over their head. So you're right. It's just matching the right tenant group with the right property, and then you're sorted. Yeah. Nice one, thank you.
Do you want to talk to this, Nix? It's actually Eid. Sorry, I do want to talk, and then I'm talking. But anyway, so Eid, I checked on Facebook, so that's why I've got your name. But if you see in the video description, if you're watching on Facebook, click on where it says StreamYard, and it'll give StreamYard permission to put your name. But anyway, your name is Eid, and the question is, have you ever used Sources, Mark? And if so, what your experience?
Nope, I haven't. I know a few good sources, and I've had a few deals put my way, but they never really stacked to the numbers that I actually like to have. I mean, if you can find sources and things, then and somebody you can trust, do your due diligence on them. I wouldn't have any issues having a property source for me, that's for sure. But I've never used one myself.
And I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Mark, with any property, whether it's a property that you find yourself or a property that comes to you, whether through a sourcer or whomsoever, run the figures and crunch the figures yourself.
Yeah.
Put it into the deal analyzer. If you could put up the deal analyzer thing again, Seth, please. Put it into the deal analyzer, crunch them, make sure that you're analyzing your deal prudently. You're not kind of thinking, oh yeah, everyone else can get 500 per room, but my room I'm going to get 800. You know, be if everyone else is getting 500, put it in at 500. Put the expenses in. Work out what your bottom line is after allowing for voids and management and maintenance. And if you're coming up with, £500 a net profit at that level, you know that you're going to be making more than that generally, unless something crazy happens like a pandemic.
Sean this is Sean's question. Do you want to say anything about that, Nicky? So
we would recommend that you go for properties with 5 rooms or more. We find anything less than that, a 4-bed property or below, it's hard to get the numbers to stack up to mean that it's a good win-win for both you and the landlord. So 5 rooms or more, you can usually, cream off one of the room rents as your profit each month.
What do you find for that, Mark?
Yeah, I think the same. I think, if you're looking at, I mean, unless you can get a property that is really on a single let price, you'll struggle to make it stack. You certainly struggle to make £100 per person, so to speak. So yeah, I'm finding 6 is the perfect number, really. If you can get 6 works every day of the week, but 5's not bad. 5 will do.
And I love this question that we've also had. This is also from Eid, and it's, what are your 4 tips for getting a landlord on board? So why don't you give 2, Mark, and then we can come to you for 2, Nicky.
Tips for getting landlords on board, i.e. meeting them, speaking to them. I mean, you're obviously building up rapport. Make sure you listen to them. Make sure you listen to what they need, why they've rang you. Make them feel welcome. Let them talk, which is something I always struggle with. Yeah. So just ask them the questions and see what their needs are, what their wants are, and what their reason for speaking to you is. And then obviously you can build up rapport with that, and sort of, people always feel better if they get a chance to vent and to be able to talk about things. So I think rapport is massive. So just talk to them. Just talk to them on a one-to-one basis, and don't be afraid to ask them questions and things. And don't be afraid as well at yourself. If you're ever stuck for answering a question, just say, my business partner or whatever deals with that side of things. So can I get back to you with that? Because people will respect you for saying it. As long as you get back to them, people will respect you and say, well, at least he's not, or he or she's not trying to pull the wool over my eyes. Just be genuine and be honest. And the other thing really is show a bit of love for the property. I mean, for me, when you go around there, don't say, oh, blimey, this needs a load of work. Go around there, even if it does, you could just say, well, this has got a lot of potential. Do you know what I mean? I can see this one being an absolute gem, but we might just need to just need to change a couple of things because this is the level on the market that we work in. So yeah, it's just being polite and having manners, making them feel respected and happy. And that's it really. Like I say, not all of them are going to be like that. Not everybody's easy to talk to and things, but the ones you can build up the rapport and you'll get them on board. It's not always about the number either. So don't think, oh my God, I can't go in with this number because they're going to throw it back in my face. A lot of the time it can be about you. If they like you and they think they can work with you and you'll do a good job for them, then the price is here nor there. You can come to an agreement on that.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant advice, Mark. What I would add to that, and you started to talk about at the end, was the numbers. So if you can work out as part of your calculation and your conversations with them and listening to the landlord, what their net rent is currently, how much they're making from the property, then as part of your offer and your guaranteed rent, if you can beat that, without all of the hassle that they're currently getting and without the potential for voids that they're currently struggling with, then, which landlord is going to say no to that? I'm going to pay you more than you're receiving at the moment, and I'm going to take away all of the hassle. Boom. The other thing I would say is be confident in your offering. So, again, guaranteed rent, freedom from tenant management, and total peace of mind. What landlord doesn't want that? So make sure once you've listened to them, so that's really important, once you've listened to them, understood what their issues are and helped them to, then, kind of not quite throw it back, I can't think of the words, but you lay it back to them. Okay, well, we can help you there. We can take that away. If they've mentioned, they've been wanting to go on a holiday for 3 years, but they're stuck managing this property, weave that into your responses or your emails. Here's a solution. This is what we're going to do. We're going to get you to Las Vegas this year. And that just feeds in and reminds them, yeah, that's what's important. That's what I want.
So our next question is from Lena. Hey, Lena, I'm so excited that it is you. And I'll be replying to your email after this. But the question is, how do you find the landlords? So maybe if you can both give an idea again for Lena of how to find landlords.
Do you want me to go first or do you want to go first? Nicky, you go first.
All right. Well, I think, to be honest, Mark's covered this off in his share. So the best ways to tap into landlords would be the HMO register. It's a public register. Everyone can get access to it. We've got some great tools that help you cut through the council
resistance.
Resistance, that's a great word. Much better and politically correct than the one that was going around in my head. So you can get you're actually communicating directly with your customer, with your landlords. So that's one way, through your HMO register. The other, I would say, or a good way, is make sure that everybody that you know knows what you do and knows what you deliver. Because quite often, or there's lots of landlords out there, that might not be their main job, that might not be their only job, but lots of people, whether by default or design, manage profit or own properties that they rent out. So the more people you say or tell, the more likely that someone's going to come to you and say, hey, I've got a property, or I know someone who you can help.
Yeah. And Nicky, tonight I was speaking on the Kickstarter call. Elijah was there, and he and Brenda are negotiating on a property which is owned by his builder's friends. He was selling, they told their builder what they do, and their builder introduced them to somebody else who has this property that they're having some challenges with, and Elijah will be able to help them out. So that's a perfect example of telling everyone what you do. So sorry, Mark, do you want to add one on to that?
No, I think the best way is obviously Landlord, is the HMO register. But you can use online portals as well. So you on Spare Room, you can cut out the agents and then obviously send an email to the landlords, asking them, a templated question if you wanted to, or just start talking to them there. Obviously Gumtree. So check out the different portals as well. But if you can get straight into the landlord, then you've really got your foot in the door rather than going through other people. But if you have to go through agents and things, then so be it.
So while we're talking about this, a point that came to me earlier on is networking. So networking is so important, and you're kind of the king of networking in the North, I believe. So tell us about
I do my
that.
Bit. Obviously, I started going to property networking events in 2018. And now I host the Great North Pin networking event, which we restarted this year, which was really, really good. It's just outside of Newcastle, so it's a little bit away from where I live, but obviously I still go and see the guys at the Sheffield Pin. But it's great to be a host of one, and be able to meet new faces and new people and help people on their property journey as well. Unfortunately, we only managed to do 2 before the lockdown came in, so they're all online now. But when we can get back out there and things, it'll be really exciting. But initially I used to go to networking events up and down the country, to be fair. And I did a lot of business ones as well, not so much property. I did landlord ones. I did business one, local businesses. And just like Nicky was saying, that's a great time to practice. It's a great time to just get out there and tell people what you're doing. You hand out some business cards, get your face known. Post a bit on social media, networking event. This is one I attended. If you can big up the networking event people as well, then they like that. And sometimes they can share your post, and it just gets you to a broader audience, which will help your business, and it'll help you get yourself known for somebody that is doing this. Because fundamentally, and I always think this, what is one of the first things people do now is they look on social media to see if you exist. Now, it's not always the case, but a lot of the times, if they can look at your post and see a few of you at business events and looking, sharp and doing the right things, then it puts a lot of confidence in people's minds.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. And I just want to remind you all to also, if you're enjoying these sort of contents, you want to know more about Rent to Rent, do subscribe to us on YouTube, Rent to Rent Success YouTube channel, subscribe. And also wherever you're watching, please like this video, show us lots of love. And we look forward to seeing you next week as well. We're having Lois Wilson, who will be joining us, but we're not finished here tonight with Mark. Nicky, have you got any questions that you would like to ask Mark?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm off mute now. You can hear me? Hear me? Yeah. Alrighty. So what advice would you give to someone who's starting now, who's at the beginning of their journey?
Just be consistent, persevere, and get yourself educated as well. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure that you're doing the right things as well. And if it's not working, change it. Try different things, mix things up a bit, because there's no right or wrong answer to most things. If you're doing something consistently and you're doing it consistently well, you will get the deals. You will find, you know, that it happens. And I think a lot of people just get a bit demoralized, maybe speak to the landlords or don't, as the case may be, send out a batch of letters and then feel, or speak to some letting agents. And I mean, one of the great books I love is Go for No. It's a fantastic book that really changed my concept on going for deals, because it's basically saying that what you should do, instead of trying to look for 3 yeses in a day or 1 yes in a day out of 10 calls, you want to get 10 no's. So even if you got a yes with the first one, you've still got to go for the 10 no's to hit your target. And it totally flipped everything on its head. Yeah, it's just perseverance, really. Perseverance. Get yourself educated, get yourself surrounded by the right people, because that's massive. Having the right people around you to push you forward, whether it's in a group, whether it's, you know, whether it's in a training platform, whether it's just putting comments on here, you know, for people to help you out with. Get yourself surrounded by like-minded people that will help you and not put you down or anything like that. You don't want to naysayers. Get rid of those. Just keep yourself positive and keep pushing forward.
Yeah, and we've had a great question here, as you can see, by Abdi Malik. Thanks for this question, Abdi. And it's, how much capital does the person need to start with a 5 or 6 bed rent to rent? So let's start with you, Mark.
Personally, it obviously depends on the price of the property, of the rents and everything. Obviously, in my area, the rents aren't going to be as high as they are in London. I would say you're probably worth having a good few months worth of rent behind you. You know what I mean? Just in the bag if you can, or just, you know, maybe having funds that are maybe available to you. So when you take a property on, if it takes, you know, a month or something like that, and it takes you a bit longer to fill the rooms, you know, you're covered. You're not going to be, you know, skint straight away. And I think everybody's individual pot is really down to their area and what they're looking to achieve and what they're looking to do. So, you know, I mean, if you find a property and you find an area and you say it's going to, you know, the profit can be this, but at the end of the day, if it was only half tenanted, because you don't always get properties that are fully tenanted and it could take a few weeks to sort things out, just ask the questions with people. Put, you know, ask them and just say, how much do you think I'll need to tide me over? And that's where you can have the help. So I just have enough money really to tide myself over for about 2 to 3 months while I'm getting my foot in the door. But only you'll know that amount, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, for the area that you're in.
Great. And Nicky, what would you add to that?
Yeah, I would say, excuse me, it's a good idea what Mark suggested. You know, but also think about your processes and think about your system. So how can you reduce the amount of capital that you might need, or how can you protect yourself? So I know, Mark, you actually receive your tenant rent ahead of when you have to pay your guaranteed rent out to the landlord. So you've got that buffer, and you need less capital, if you like, or reserves, because the money should come in before you have to pay out. So that's one way. When we're taking on a property, another thing that we do to reduce what Mark was talking about in regards to your void or getting it fully tenanted is we have a standard clause in our agreements where we say that we'll only start paying the guaranteed rent as an agreed number of weeks after we've taken on the property. And essentially that's a window that enables us to get it fully tenanted before, again, we have to start paying. But outside of that, it really depends how much, or the condition of the property to a large extent. If you Mark, not a lot, because he wants you know, newly refurbished properties or properties that don't need a lot of work. So if that's your budget, if you haven't got lots of money behind you, or, you know, a couple of thousand behind you, then really you need to be targeting properties that don't need a lot of work, or partnering up with someone who's got some cash. So you might be time rich, they might be money rich or got some money. Together you can make a partnership to be able to you know, do a refurb. And if the refurb costs are too much, or you can't raise the capital for that, then next, you know, find the next deal, find the deal that really suits you.
Okay, great. Well, we've had a lovely comment here from Nobly. So thank you for this. She says, great information, Mark. Getting the right people around you and getting knowledge is key. And Stuart is on as well. And Stuart says, Mindset is absolutely key, and stick to the course and the plan, which I know you definitely subscribe to. And we've got Frasier saying hello Frasier. And let's see who this is. This is Eid again. How do you know that you're approaching the landlord on spare room and not an agent? Do you want to take that one, Mark?
Yeah, so on spare, well, fundamentally, you don't,
Yeah.
but you can rule out the agents. So down the left-hand side, I believe, if it hasn't changed, there's a tab near the bottom that says landlord. I think it's landlords only or no agents and stuff. You can click on the tab, and fundamentally, it should only bring up adverts that are landlords, so they're individual landlords. Now, you can't guarantee it. So obviously, I mean, if it says such and such lettings and it's under landlord tab, then don't send them a letter, don't send them an email. But you know, at the end of the day, in for a penny, in for a pound, and all of that, have a go, and they'll only come back to you and say, "Can you not contact us again?" And you just say, "Yep, no problem. Sorry to bother you." But that's the best way to get the landlords there. And you might find, I mean, on one of my areas, I did that, and it was about 2. And then on another area, there was a few to have a little go at. But yeah, just I wouldn't bombard them and spam them, but just send them a nice little email and see if they come back to you. And if they haven't, but the room or property's still there after a week or so, just send them another one. Just say, I've seen your room still there, or your property's still there. Can you, you know, am I able to speak to you about this? You know, because they might be a bit more motivated by this time as well. And then just say, and you know, sorry to bother you and everything. And then let them get back to you and say, no, leave me alone, or yeah, let's talk more. So yeah, just do it in a nice, friendly manner.
And of
that's
course,
how you do it.
Thank you, Mark. And of course, if it is an agent that you stumbled across on spare room, even though you thought it was a landlord, well, then just treat it like an agent. Have an agent conversation with them. How can you help them? You know, are there any properties that you can assist them with?
Yeah, okay. Great, thanks, guys. Mike's on again. I really want to have Mike on as a rock star because he's epic in Rent to Rent also. And this is a great question, isn't it? This is Lena. And Lena's saying, how do I know the landlord is asking for a fair monthly rent? So start off with you this time, Nicky.
Well, again, the deal analyzer. So you do your own due diligence to validate whatever the landlord is telling you. And, you know, there's lots of things in the public domain, or as Mark shared earlier, the information that you're going to gather from the people around you, be that agents, be that networking, you'll be able to formulate essentially that picture for yourself. Now, it might differ slightly, you know, the average for your area might be 500 a month, and they might be getting 550 or 600 because it's really super duper. But you know, you're already in the ballpark. So quite easily, once you've done a couple of deals as well, you'll be able to tell when the landlord just isn't either clear of their figures. It might be not intentional that they're trying to mislead you. But again, the offer templates, when you're actually making an offer to a landlord for their property, we give you a template to actually show the comparison to a letting agent, and it pulls all of these figures together. And so even if the landlord didn't realise what their net figure was, how much they make each month from a property, that email really, really helps them to be clear, and therefore positions your offer in the best possible light, because it's going to beat what they're actually making at the moment.
Brilliant. Well, Mike's trying to say he's shy, but yeah, do you want to answer that as well?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is worth checking is, obviously I've had a few inflated rents put my way from different landlords, but what I tend to do is Google their house, property for rent or rooms for rent, their address of the property, obviously not their home address. And sometimes you'll see them that they're with letting agents, that they can't apparently let them, and a lot of the times you'll see that they're at a discounted price, because obviously they're getting a bit more motivated to get them filled. So they can say, you know, it's up here, and you actually look at it and it's just like, well, hang on a minute, it's not. But you can throw that back into the conversation and say, oh, I saw your property online, yeah, it looks good. I'm not sure that letting agents are advertising it in the best way for you and everything, but I saw the price and everything, so obviously we're working off of these figures. And you can throw things back like that. So it's just a little tip, really. But what Nicky said, yeah, it's fundamentally, it's got to stack for both of you. So it's not just the landlord says that and that's no deal, because it might not be a deal for you, and in which case you need to walk away. But if they will come to the table and understand that you've got to make money as well as they've got to make money, then you'll find a happy medium.
You're so spot on, Mark. It's that due diligence. You can't, it's your business, it's your deals. You need to be responsible for that, and do everything you can to make sure that it stacks up. Great share, Mark.
Suzanne has also said, "Hey, I'm watching." So hey, Suzanne, great to see you with us. Well, we have been on with you for a while now, and I hope this has been useful. We've loved having Mark in. If you would like to join us as a Rent-to-Rent Rockstar and talk about your rent-to-rent business, or if you know somebody who would love to do it, please do let us know. Leave us in the comments or send us a message. And we will see you next week when our Rent-to-Rent Rockstar will be Lois Wilson from My Cozy Home. So tune in for that one. And just as we're leaving people and going off, and let's go back to you, Mark, and talk about, I know you've talked about why you're really glad that you started, but if you could just give one thing that has really changed for you since you started this, and maybe your top piece of advice for people.
Top piece of advice is don't give up. I mean, that's it. Basically, just keep going, keep moving forward. Know it's right for you, and keep doing it. What's changed for me is pretty much everything. It's been the last, what is it, about 12, 13, 14 months now. It's just been a whirlwind. My life's changed. It's unrecognizable now, to be quite honest with you. It's where I want it to be, which is the first time in my life I can probably say that. I'm in control of my own destiny now, rather than relying on outside sources and worrying about other things. So, yeah, it's just changed. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, if this is what you're looking for, then you've just got to have that determination to keep going. And when the chips are down, have the right people around you to put their arm around you, support you, and push you forward. But just don't give up. And I'll say the same thing there. It took me months. It could take somebody 6 months. It could take somebody a year, but it will happen. It will come. Doesn't matter what area you're in. You'll still be able to get deals. Trust me. I know a lot of different people doing rent to rent. I know them all over the place doing it, and they are getting deals because they're consistent. And so just keep persisting with it, and you'll get there.
And Nicky, would you like to give people a bit of advice to take away if they're just getting started, maybe?
Yeah, I think we all have those worries and those concerns, and that's natural. We kind of have a great idea and then talk ourselves out of it because it becomes a bit scary and a bit too real. And we're convinced that we're not good enough, but we are regular folk. We're just ordinary people, normal people who decided that actually we want to change something in our life. And as Mark said, it's that consistency of application and action that enables and brings about that change. So yeah, just do it. Just go for it. Anyone can do it with help and guidance and support.
Brilliant. Well, it has been phenomenal being here with you. I always love getting together with you. Our Wednesday night sessions, really special. So join us back here again, 8 p.m. Rent to Rent Real Talk. We'll be here back next week with Lois. And in the meantime, of course, if you're new and you think, we did have a question earlier, what is rent to rent? What is this business model? So if you're new, click in the link below. You can get the guide, the free Rent to Rent guide and Masterclass. Or if you've got any questions at all, obviously follow up with us in the comments. And up until then, we really look forward to seeing you next week. So for now, it's bye from Nicky.
See you later.
And bye from Mark.
Thank you for having me.
And bye from me. See you soon. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.